Hi children, we continue with our 6th chapter, Combustion and Flame. So combustion is over. First part of the chapter is combustion, that is over. Now we move on to the second part of the chapter, that is flame. So we will see what is a flame. What do you mean by a flame? You all have seen flame, candle flame and all. So what is a flame? Flame is a region. Flame is a region where combustion of a gaseous fuel takes place. So flame is a region where combustion of a gaseous fuel take place. Flame is a region where combustion of a gaseous fuel take place, or only those substances which vaporize on burning, which vaporize on heating, burn with a flame. Only those substances which vaporize on burning, on heating, burn with a flame. For example, coal, charcoal, etc. When you heat it, they undergo combustion. Combustion is taking place there, but they do not produce a flame because they do not vaporize. Upon heating, vapors are not produced. Only when vapors burn, a flame is produced. I hope you understood. So there are substances which burn with a flame and there are substances which burn without a flame. In both cases, heat energy is produced. But light is produced only when substance burn with a flame. So coal, charcoal, etc. they produce heat upon burning, but they do not produce light. Is it clear to you? So flame is a region where combustion of a gaseous fuel take place. Only those substances which vaporize, which produce vapors upon heating, burn with a flame. So the substances which do not vaporize, they also produce heat, but light is not produced. So examples of substances that burn with a flame are candle, then petrol, diesel, kerosene. All these substances burn with a flame. Why? Because when they are heated, they produce vapors. When the vapors burn, we get flame. Then examples of substances that do not produce a flame are coal, charcoal, etc. Okay. Now depending upon air supply, based on air supply, the air that the fuel receives, we can classify flame into two types. Non-luminous flame first one is non-luminous flame. Based on air supply, flame can be classified into two types. First one is non-luminous flame. When there is excess of air, supply, plenty of air supply, the combustion is the fuel burns completely. All the carbon particles in the fuel burns and it changes to carbon dioxide. We say fuel burns completely. Such a type of combustion is known as complete combustion. So again, based on this air supply, combustion can be classified into complete combustion and incomplete combustion. So complete combustion take place when there is excess of air supply, excess of oxygen supply. Oxygen is the supporter of combustion. So when there is excess of oxygen supply, air supply, the fuel, all the carbon particles in the fuel burn completely. We call it as complete combustion. Then the flame produced will be blue in color. Then the flame produced this blue in color and we call it as the non-luminous flame. Okay, so depending upon air supply, flame can be of two types. The first one is non-luminous flame. A non-luminous flame is produced when there is excess of air supply, plenty of air supply. So what happens to the fuel? All the carbon particles of the fuel burn completely. Such a combustion is known as complete combustion. All the fuel particles are burning completely. Complete combustion take place and the flame produced is non-luminous and its color is blue. Okay, the second type is luminous flame. Here oxygen air supply is oxygen or air supply is insufficient. insufficient supply of oxygen. There is no enough oxygen supply. Air supply is insufficient. Then the combustion will be incomplete. So there is no sufficient oxygen for the fuel particles to burn completely. We call it as incomplete combustion. I hope it is clear to you. In non-luminous flame, there is excess of oxygen supply. So all the fuel carbon particles in the fuel burn completely. Complete combustion. Here oxygen supply is not, air supply is not sufficient, it is insufficient. So there is no enough oxygen for all the carbon particles in the fuel to burn. So the combustion will be incomplete. So as a result of incomplete combustion, the flame produced is luminous and its color is yellow. So you might have seen both these flames with blue color and yellow color. So you should be able to distinguish. A blue flame is produced when there is excess of oxygen supply, then only the combustion. When there is excess of oxygen, combustion will be complete. As a result of complete combustion, blue flame, we get blue flame. When the combustion is incomplete, we get yellow flame, which is luminous flame. Okay, hope the difference between luminous and non-luminous flame is clear to you. Non-luminous flame, as a result of complete combustion, excess of oxygen supply, color is blue. Luminous, when the air supply is insufficient, so incomplete combustion, color of the flame is yellow. Okay. Next topic, it's very important topic. Zones of a candle flame. We have to discuss the different zones of a candle flame. The first zone is, so depending upon the air that it receives, there are 3 zones in a candle flame. Depending upon the air supply, we have 3 different zones in a candle flame. The first zone is the non-luminous zone. Or the outer zone. I don't know how many of you have noticed this outer zone. In the candle flame, at outer side, outermost part, there will be a narrow blue region. Narrow blue region. So you have to carefully observe the candle flame to find this non-luminous zone. Outermost part, a narrow zone in blue color. That is the non-luminous zone. Here, oxygen supply, there is sufficient oxygen supply. In the outermost zone, there is sufficient oxygen supply. So what about the combustion? Is it complete or incomplete? Combustion is complete. Complete combustion takes place. As a result, the color of the flame produced is blue. So first point is sufficient oxygen supply, so complete combustion take place. As a result, we get the color of the flame in the outermost zone will be blue. So since combustion is complete, this blue zone is the hottest part of the candle flame. The hottest part of the candle flame is the outermost zone, the blue zone. Because why? Because there the combustion is complete, all the fuel particles are getting burned completely. So maximum amount of heat is produced. So this is the hottest part of the candle flame. Next one is, if you place objects in this blue zone, no soot will be produced, no residue or soot will be produced. What is this soot or residue? You might have seen soot formed on vessels which are kept for cooking curry. So here the combustion is complete. So there is no unburned carbon particles. All the particles are getting burned. So there is no residue left. Actually the soot or curry that you get is the leftover carbon particles. The carbon particles which are left unburned. Here there is no unburned particle. All the particles are getting burned. So what happens? There is no residue or soot produced on objects placed in this zone. Okay, so this is the first zone of the candle flame, the outermost zone known as the non-luminous zone. So what are the characters or features of this non-luminous zone? Non-luminous zone is produced by the complete combustion of the fuel. In the non-luminous zone, there is excess of oxygen supply, so complete combustion of the fuel take place. In non-luminous zone, there is excess of oxygen supply, so complete combustion of the fuel take place. So color of the flame is blue. Then it is the hot, since combustion is complete, maximum amount of heat is produced, so it is the hottest part of the flame. And also since there is no unburned particle, all the particles have burned completely, so there is no residue or soot produced on the object placed in this zone. Okay, so that's about non-luminous zone. Next one is luminous zone or the middle zone. Actually 75% of the candle flame is in the middle zone. 75% of the candle flame is in luminous, yellow color. Color of the flame is yellow. Here combustion is incomplete. Why? In the middle zone combustion is incomplete because oxygen supply is insufficient. So in the middle zone insufficient oxygen supply is not there because it is the middle part of the flame. So enough oxygen supply is not there, so the combustion is incomplete. Color of the flame is yellow. That's what I told you, 75% of the candle flame is yellow in color. 75% is in the middle zone, yellow color. Then what about the degree of hotness? It is moderately hot. Why? Because the combustion is not complete. So the heat produced is moderate only. And the last one, soot, residue or soot is produced on the objects placed in this zone. Residue or soot is produced on object placed in this zone. Why? Because combustion is incomplete. And there is unburned carbon particles. Particles which are not burnt, they get deposited in the vessel as soot. Okay, so soot will be produced if you are keeping objects in the yellow zone of the flame. Sometimes in a LPG gas stove, you might have seen in the burner you can see yellow flame. The expected color of the flame is blue. But sometimes you can see yellow flame coming. What's the reason for that? Sometimes you might have seen air holes in the burner. In the burner there are air holes. Sometimes these air holes may get blocked. Some curry or some other particle may block the air hole. So enough oxygen will not be there. The fuel will not get enough oxygen to burn. So as a result combustion will be incomplete and you will get an yellow flame. So what can be done in such cases? You have to unblock it. Using something you have to make the holes clear. The waste material should be removed from the hole so that there is enough oxygen supply. The fuel should get enough oxygen through those holes in the burner. So you have to see that all the holes are clear, then only the fuel will get excess of oxygen, then you will get blue flame. Blue flame gives maximum heat. If you are cooking with yellow flame, the amount of heat, wastage of gas, the fuel take place. Fuel is used up but required amount of heat is not produced. So it produces moderately, it is moderately hot only. So it will take time, cooking will take time. So you have to see that all the air holes are open for excess of oxygen supply, then you will get the blue flame, it is the hottest part. And yellow, if you are keeping vessels in the yellow flame, there is chances of residue or soot getting deposited on the vessel. So always you have to see that you make use of the blue flame. Okay, so that's about luminous zone. It is the middle zone, incomplete combustion. Oxygen supply is insufficient. So combustion is incomplete, color of the flame is yellow. Since combustion is not complete, heat produced also is not high, it is moderately hot only, residue will be, unburned particles are there, they get deposited on the objects. Now there is the innermost zone. Innermost zone, the dark zone, that is near the wick of the candle. The blue and the yellow portions are clear to you. This dark zone you can see near the wick of the candle. Near the wick of the candle, candle thiri. Near the wick of the candle you can see this innermost zone. This is a zone of no combustion. So it is the least hot part of the candle flame. Then the flame appears dark. So only 3 characteristics are there. It is a zone of no combustion. The degree of hotness, it is the least hot part. Actually, it is the coolest part of the candle flame, and the flame appears dark. In page number 72, figure 6.13, zones of a candle flame. That diagram you have to learn. Page 72, figure 6.13 is important. You have to learn that diagram. Correct labeling should be there. With the help of a diagram, explain the different zones of a candle flame. Diagram should be there, explanation should be there. 3 zones are non-luminous zone, the blue zone, outermost zone. Complete combustion is taking place there. Excess of oxygen is there. So, complete combustion, blue in color, it is the hottest part and no residue or soot. These are the characteristics. Then comes the middle zone, which is the luminous zone, yellow in color. Oxygen supply is insufficient, so incomplete combustion. So yellow in color, it is moderately hot and residue, unburned particles are there, so residue or soot is produced. And the innermost zone, the last zone, the innermost zone or the dark zone near the wick of the candle, you can see that it is a zone of no combustion. So it is the least hot part of the candle flame and it appears dark. So that's all. Thank you, children.